Welcome to the show. Say who are top of the league. Say we are top of the league. See you in a moment. Well, that went wrong because I wasn't supposed to say that. It doesn't matter. I'm too overexcited about everything. When Arsenal won yesterday, I was like a kid. So, welcome to the Same Old Arsenal. Everybody in the chat room, hello. Tonight, my co-host is Suburban Gooner Chris. Hello, Christopher.
Right, Mandy, you all right?
Yeah.
Feeling
very
good?
Very good.
Excited to get through this one?
Very good.
Do you know what? Do you know what's interesting? I'll say hello to Albert in a second, but I love podcasting this season because 9 times out of the last 10, we've won. So
I love
this
it.
is getting easy.
I saw what you did there. I saw what you did.
Chris. Well done.
But you love podcasting because you're with me.
Yeah, that's a slight benefit.
And you know what's funny, Albert, in our Same Old Arsenal group, welcome to the show, by the way, is the diva of the group is not me. It is young Christopher over there.
Oh my God, Chris.
Oh, you have no idea what goes on.
Chris, I'm very disappointed, I must.
Yeah. We were supposed to be going live at 7:30. We had to talk about it. I've been in London today. It takes me an hour to get in. I'm not going to bore our listeners with it because they want to focus on the deliciousness of yesterday.
Ooh.
It was like the most beautiful apple strudel that my mum makes, that has got lovely bits of that vanilla ice cream on top with Madagascan little bits of vanilla in there, and you have a first bite of it, it's piping hot after a lovely roast dinner, and you just think, oh, that is bliss. That is what that game felt to me yesterday. It was like the world's most greatest strudel. Did I mention I am quite a big fan of apple strudel?
You did mention that.
Do you know what? I love that deliciousness. Do you know what I've done? I've written notes. I'm old-fashioned. Look, I've got loads of notes. I would love to have written that word, deliciousness. One of my words was emotional. I was extremely emotional yesterday. I feel like, I know it sounds odd, that we've actually won something. I know I can't explain it. I'm not being a Spurs fan or anything, but I just feel nothing. Even the pouring rain, getting stuck in traffic, having shed loads of work to do, loads of stress, could take the smile off my face this morning, Albert. So I actually don't know where to start, but we're going to start at the beginning because I know, because there's so much we all want to say. We were all at the game. We all sit in different areas of the stadium. We've all got stories to tell. So, okay, let's sort of start with last week. So we play Bodo, okay? We win. He changes the team around. Fantastic. It's what we need. And we've come off of that game. And weirdly, I've been positive all week about this game with Liverpool. I've said we're going to win the whole week, which is weird for me because I normally say we're going to win, then I start to get a little bit nervous. But I thought, this is it. This is the one time we are actually going to beat them. It's been so long coming. And it's not because they're playing terrible, because let me tell you yesterday, this is my opinion, they were far better than Spurs. Far better. They play much more interesting and attractive football than Spurs do. Yesterday, I really, I mean, there was parts you don't enjoy, but, you know, we'll go on to that. But let's just talk before the game. I felt positive. Were you positive, Albert, during the first, so between Thursday and Sunday?
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't at the game yesterday, Amanda, but I felt like it.
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, you know what? With the run of games we had, in particular, sort of, with the Tottenham game and the Liverpool game coming up, I did say we'd win both of them, and it wasn't said in a way that was cocky or arrogant. I just thought what I'd seen in Liverpool this season so far, even though they've only lost one game up until yesterday, because I think they've conceded in all the games they played this season, and they've only lost once, and that was against Man United before yesterday. But I thought it'd be tight, but I did think we would win. So I wouldn't say I was super confident because our record against Liverpool is wretched. I think it was 2 wins in 14, 2 wins in 14 before yesterday. But you know what it is, Amanda? I've said this before. People who know me very well or don't, but it's great beating Tottenham. Anytime beating Manchester United is fine, and City when we eventually do it over a consistent period. But for me personally, there's something about Liverpool that really does something. It does something to me. I think there's some fans I know about Liverpool. They're cool, but there's some that they're the team I always want to beat every season. I've got to be honest. So the game was massive for a number of different reasons, and I've always kind of said with Arsenal that we do want to get back into sort of obviously Champions League football, but I think in terms of statement games, Amanda, when we talk about playing Spurs or you talk about playing Liverpool or City or Chelsea, it's about time we started winning some of these games of football. We ain't got no divine right, don't get me wrong, but yesterday was a statement win. It was beating Tottenham is a big result, obviously, but to lay down the marker and beat them with the way Liverpool are spoken about within the media, and they are worshipped, man. They are by a lot of ex-pundits, even that ones that are not associated with the club. And to win the way we did, they're a good side, man. Let's have it right. You know, they're not been fantastic this season in terms of results wise, but they showed, particularly in that first half, they can play.
Right.
But,
Stop. So before you watched it, what was your prediction? Do you remember?
I didn't actually have a score. I think I went 2-1, but I said Arsenal would just nick it. They just
I said 2-1.
Yeah, it'd be tight.
Christopher.
Yes.
So were you positive?
I was very nervous. I was more nervous, weirdly, about the Tottenham game because I thought that Tottenham would just turn up, they'd have their one shot and one goal, and we wouldn't be able to break them down. So yesterday even felt a bit more like a free hit in my mind because I was almost thinking, well, look, we've got a terrible record against Liverpool. We've already amassed plenty of points. Maybe even if we lost today, because Liverpool are a really, really good side, maybe this is just a recalibration of where our expectations are. And ultimately, when we played that first game of the season against Palace, we're all thinking, just get top four. Just get top four and we'll be happy. But that recalibration is happening now to the point where before I was in the Horatia on Holloway Road beforehand with Giles and Mark King and Michael Punter from Block 5 Gooner. And we were talking about this, and Dave's True Story as well on Twitter. And we were talking about this, and the expectations are getting raised with every single performance that we get. Like this is a young team. We know that. This is a team that will have off days. But like last season, we had off days and we'd scrape wins. We're just playing really good football. We look structured. We look organised. We look like everyone knows their positions. Everyone knows the zones on the pitch that they need to be on. And also, we've shown through the Bodo Glimp game as well, we've got players that are interchangeable. You can take them out of this system and they know what they're doing. So before the game, I'd have taken a draw, and I said, I'll take a draw and just keep the momentum if we can keep playing well. Not only did we play well, specifically in that second half, but we got the win as well. Absolute cloud
you
nine.
lot are jumping so far up. You know me, I like to go stages. So you were confident but nervous. I was much more nervous before Tottenham because it's Tottenham and it's just everything that comes with it, I think. But weirdly, Carl was so nervous. He was confident all week, and then he was just like terrible yesterday morning. He will tell you that he was just terrible. He was so stressed, and I was like, "Why are you stressed? You know, this is our chance. This is it. The boys are not going to let us down." I just had that feeling. I didn't predict 3-2. I did predict 2-1. Thought it'd be much more tighter than it was, but I want to get your feelings quickly on this. So the team comes out. The announcement of the team an hour before, and Tomiyasu is left back. And did either of you, Chris, Albert, either of you think strange that he's gone to left back, kept Ben White right back, Tierney's not left back? Big decision that worked. But Chris, what did you think?
The two words that I said when I was outside the pub before the game to a few people, has he gone galaxy brain here? That was my big fear. Has he gone galaxy brain here? He's trying to play 3D chess with Klopp by putting a right back in at left back. But in hindsight, it makes perfect sense. The best player at our club in duels, I think the two best player in one-on-one duels in our club are William Saliba and Takahiro Tomiyasu. They win their duels. And so to see Takahiro Tomiyasu front up to Salah, and I think it's a Salah that is not the same player that we've seen. There's something going on there, whether it's him mentally formed, whatever it is. But to see him front up to him as a right-sided guy, knowing that he's always going to look to cut inside, he's very rarely looked to go down the outside of Tomiyasu. And Tomiyasu had his number. And so, yeah, I thought galaxy brain, but after about 5 minutes of the game, I thought, actually, this is going to work.
Albert, was Salah even on the pitch?
He was Amanda, but unfortunately he got pocketed.
Right.
So yeah, when it came through that Tomiyasu was going to start, I didn't really have any sort of negative vibes, and because from the time Tomiyasu's been here, I know there's been injury layoffs, but he's been more than dependable. And I'm probably doing him a little bit of a disservice by not using more extravagant words, but like Chris mentioned, in terms of aerial duels, he's a massive asset in that Tomiyasu. He's a big lad, man. He's a physical presence. So, and the man, you know what? He's actually done pretty well, and he's had many tests actually from players in the wide area, whether it be Son, obviously yesterday was with Salah. And to think he's playing out of position and putting that performance against that Liverpool side, absolutely exceptional. Fantastic.
Yeah. I'm just putting some of the comments up about him, and thanks to everyone for commenting. We will come to this shortly. I promise you all. Get your questions in the second part of the show. Listen, Tomiyasu, come on, what a player. Has he ever, I'm just touch wood, let us down? I mean, no. He's like a man mountain. And, each game he gets better. And I thought of, so where we sit, Tomiyasu was in front of us for the first half. Sorry, my brain's gone, so I'm trying to remember everything. Up and down that line, Salah is definitely a shadow of himself. I don't know if it's the big contract. I don't know if it's Mane going. I don't know if it's just the Liverpool team are not clicking. But he needs to be on the pitch. But then we come to Ben White. And I'm raving about Ben White. I remember, sorry, Chris, I'll let you come in a second, but I remember when we signed him, 50 million. People were slating him for 50 million quid. But who knows better than the manager and the staff behind the scenes? And who knew he was going to be our right back? Who foresee any of this? He could play right back for England. He can play centre back. Can't believe he's not being picked by England, but that's another question. Sorry, Chris, you were going to come in about something.
Well, it's related to what you're talking about, actually. So if you think about it, yesterday we played 4 centre-backs because Tomiyasu plays left centre-back for Japan, and a lot of people see him, certainly the physicality of him and the way that he plays, a lot of people think he could be a centre-half. So effectively, we had 4 big guys. And actually, tactically, that worked out as quite a good decision because in that first half, what Klopp did, I saw this because of where I sit in block 5 and the eye line that I have, I saw Trent Alexander-Arnold pick the ball up multiple times and look for those long diagonals. That's what they wanted to do. They basically completely bypassed their midfield by saying, we're just going to have 2 midfielders. We're going to effectively try and play 4 up front. We're going to have Salah wide right. We're going to have play Diaz wide left, and we're going to look for diagonal balls into them over the top. And by playing 4 big, tall centre half right backs in those positions, we just won, as Albert said. Tomiyasu won his aerial duels. Ben White won his aerial duels. They weren't able to hit those diagonals and hit us over the top and getting in behind, because that's what they wanted to do. They thought they know that their midfield has been suspect, so they thought new tactic, tried it against Rangers. We're going to go 4-2-4, and we're going to try and hit those diagonals. We're going to try and get in behind Arsenal's fullbacks. Now, if we'd have played a Cedric and a Tierney or a Zinchenko, then there probably would have been more space in behind, and maybe there could have been more physicality. But that is a big back four that we had yesterday, and they did the business.
Oh, didn't they, Jess? And, you know, we'll talk about when we was in the grounds in a second, but very proud. I love the fact that we had Tomiyasu on that pitch. I just love him. I just absolutely think he has got everything that we need, because and you know what, we'll get to Gabriel in a second, but I have so much confidence in Tomiyasu. Saliba goes without saying, and Ben White. Gabriel just makes me a little tad nervous at times, but at least we got 3 out for it. Anyway, we get to the grounds, and I will say something, which is not what I've been saying lately. I felt the atmosphere was like last year. I felt it was a little bit quiet. It was definitely quieter than Tottenham, Chris. Definitely. During the first half, much quieter. Didn't really hear much. There were times where it was quite silent, and I'm not used to that. The ground has been rocking. But I would like to say this, and let's just start to go into the game, that I found the first half, there was 2 halves in that first half for me. First 20 minutes was us. A lot of people have said we scored too early and we sort of didn't know what you know, how to play it. The second half of that first half, they dominated. Absolutely. And I do honestly feel that we started to play and panic like we did last season. So first time I've seen it this season, I just felt that the last 25 minutes of the game, first half, we panicked. So Albert, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you disagree? Do you agree? Or how did you feel the first half? And obviously the goal was phenomenal. I think, 50 seconds? I mean, it shocked all of us. It really did. It really shocked all of us.
Yeah, man, it's interesting you mentioned that about when you was at the ground in terms of the atmosphere. I mean, obviously I wasn't in the game, but I think obviously the Tottenham game I wasn't nervous for, if I'm being honest. The Liverpool one for me, I was a little bit, because I knew how important the game was. It was just massive in terms of like a statement game. So I was sort of glued to the screen. And you know what? I said this before. I don't think I've sworn so much at home. Honestly, yeah, because it's Liverpool, man. It does. It just gets me that playing them, man. But great start. We've been starting games fantastically well. And to start that quickly was fantastic. For that first 5 minutes, we blitzed them. And I think Jamie Carragher's fears were coming to fruition. But like we said, Amanda, they're a good side. They played through their midfield in the middle third brilliantly. Thiago got more on the ball. Henderson was more on the ball. I think we gave them a little bit too much respect, though they're a good side. But you know what? I did think we defended resolutely. I know Chris made a good point in terms of Trent likes to hit those diagonal balls, and there were times you mentioned obviously with Gabriel as well. He gets himself into really, really awkward positions, which doesn't help, as you probably saw with the first goal. But Amanda, to go in at halftime 2-1 was an absolute steal.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. But let's just go. Do you understand what I was saying about a game of 2 halves in the first half?
Yeah,
it was us and then them. So Chris, we score. Place has gone mental. I don't even think we knew what to do, because if we ever scored in 58 seconds, I don't know. Someone will tell me.
We will have. But yeah. Do you know what's interesting? You want to talk about limbs? People talk about limbs. There was a guy behind me in block 5 that literally I turned around and he was like horizontal in the seat behind me. I've never noticed him before. 4 rows back, his mate was next to him going, "Oi, He's basically just sailed down. He's jumped in the air and he's sailed down 3 sets of seats. Now, if you know the Emirates, if you've been, many of you guys in the chat and stuff will have been to the Emirates before. Those are big seats. That is not. These are not small pokey seats. These are big seats. So yeah, limbs for that first goal. Absolutely fantastic. The perfect start. Completely erased any immediate sort of nerves and concerns that you've got. And also from a statistical point of view, it's almost like one hand on the 3 points when you can score that. It's not the guaranteed, but when you look at all of those statistical models where it's like the percentage chances of winning a game, when you get a goal that early, it doesn't matter if you scored early or not. It puts the other team, it puts the impetus on the other team to go ahead. And I think Albert was absolutely right. We showed them too much respect in that first half, I think. And the reason I think that we're going to talk about the second half, I think the reason I say we showed them too much respect, is because what we did in the second half. Because in the first half, we let them have more of the ball. They had more possession. They started to dictate it. And we just it was almost a bit like, we got our goal. Well, let's just see for 20 minutes or so whether or not, let's just tuck in. Let's do the Arsenal from last season, which is get by, see if we can get through to half time, maybe keep it tight, But yeah, it was beautiful start. Too much respect shown in that first half, and I guess eventually that came back to bite us in the arse because they got the equaliser.
Yeah, so they get the equaliser. Do you know what? My brain has gone dead from this, but obviously we scored in 58 seconds. Then they scored. Does anyone know what minute what time?
Yes,
in the first half?
33rd minute was it, Chris? Yeah.
So it was. I remember my dad was WhatsApping me because he does every 15 seconds in the game. It's been coming. I remember saying to my dad there and then, it's been coming. Now, I'm trying to think. I remember saying to Carl, when they got the free kick right outside of Arteta, it was a free kick, absolutely, can't deny that. It was bang on half time. And I remember saying to Carl, as he kicked it, we want half time now, we want half time. I was going to half time. Let's just get to half time at 1-1. And then all hell lets loose, Albert. It goes down the other end and we score. And you cannot have a better time to score than going into half time on the 45th minute, can you?
Yeah, that's the thing. We sucker punched him because I even with about 5 minutes to go in the first half, I said Arsenal we need half time to come now because this game is going in a direction where Liverpool will get a second and it'll be a completely different team talk for Mikel Arteta. So it was a steel mandate to go in at 2-1 at half time. I mean, it's funny because when we broke away and scored the goal, I thought, what's Gabriel doing up so far? But then Martinelli was fantastic and great goal, great dummy by Gabriel, and Saka just done enough to put it in the back of the net.
It's very hard for us, Albert. You were at home, okay? So my first instinct, I went mental. I then calmed because they weren't showing the goal, and I kept thinking, "Oh shit,
offside!
Is he offside?" You can't tell from where I am. Wouldn't have a clue. It looked it. I'm on the east stand upper at the other end, and you're looking down there, and you're like, "Oh God, this would be the worst because it's the best time to score against the run of play." And I remember saying to Carl, in our first, "What are we doing? It feels like we're playing like last year. They're giving us space, but why aren't we breaking away?" And hey, voila. We break away and do what we should have been doing most of the first half. It was phenomenal football. Our 2 goals were just phenomenal football. We are witnessing, I want to get to this later, but we're just witnessing some beautiful football. So we go in at 2-1. We are all going mental. We all clapped them off the pitch like it was the end of the game. Then we all calmed down and realised we've got another 45 minutes to go. We're 2-1 up. Didn't feel like it was going to stay like that. And then he must have thrown some teacups in that changing room at half time. Because Chris, what a difference they were. What a different team came out in that second half.
Yeah. I think the halftime goal, the goal right on half time, probably did a lot for the team itself, because I think maybe there was an element, you know, you concede on 34 minutes and then Liverpool have quite a bit of possession going into that half time. And as Albert said, you kind of just want it to be over. We score that goal and all of a sudden, again, we're halfway through the match and we're winning this football match. And so the players probably got back in a reset. And I really hope that Arteta did just say, you know, you are showing too much. You're showing too much leg to this Liverpool team. We need to buck it up. We need to actually impose our game. We need to control the football more, and we need more aggression in our pressing and our intensity. And I think we got that. I think the early goal maybe had us sitting back saying, do you know what? We can go into last season style and maybe catch them on the counter and hold them. The counter that we got was great, but then I think that gave us the confidence as a team to say, do you know what? This Liverpool team can be got at. We've got 2 goals already. Bearing in mind, we hadn't scored in the last 3 matches at the Emirates against them. So psychological barriers have been broken there as well. And this Arsenal team would have thought, they're not as good as people are making out. Let's impose our game this time. And we did from the first minute. In fact, the Liverpool equaliser was against the run of play because we had ball almost entirely in their half for that first sort of 7 minutes until they 7-8 minutes until they scored.
Albert, so we come out second half. I mean, look, we're all sitting here agreeing. Even Thomas Partey was completely different to the first. What do you think was why? Why was it like this? Was it what Chris is saying, that he said to him, stop paying them too much respect? We're 2-1 up, you know. And again, you know, when you think about it, we scored in 58 seconds and we scored in the last seconds of the second half. It's been a strange half. I did feel there were parts of it that weren't great. I felt we panicked a lot. But you know, when you sit back and think, we are playing Liverpool, regardless of where they are in the league, okay, they're going to be in a situation where we're now 14 points ahead of them. They've got City at the weekend. It's not really going well for them, is it? So we come out second half and it's like one of the best second halves I've seen in years.
Yeah, Chris made a good point. We did start that second half really, really well, and Martinelli particularly came out super sharp. He's brilliant in the first half, but I thought Gomez contained him a little, but he still was very, very influential. But yeah, Liverpool. Yeah,
so sorry, Ab, they took Trent off. Now we sat there straight away, and I didn't know he was injured, and I went. They've taken him off because Martinelli is eating him for breakfast. Is just. And I think Joe Gomez is obviously a little bit better. Not that I noticed that yesterday, but sorry, carry on.
No, so they get Firmino gets his typical goal against Arsenal. One of them had to do it. If it's not Salah, it's going to be him or Jota. But we were excellent that second half, and someone put it in the chat. But Thomas Partey really sort of came to the forefront in that second half, and I just thought we've had a little bit more further up the pitch. I actually thought throughout the game, man, the first and second half. I know people talk about Liverpool, good possession play, midfield play, but Arsenal in the final third got into some really, really good positions, man. And we could have gone 3-4-1, but it was just that last decision or the final pass, or we got into some really, Xhaka got into some really good advanced areas. Martinelli on the left-hand side, Saka on the right. We created some opportunities, and I just felt, when we play Liverpool, man, I don't know how you guys feel, but in the past, it seems to be like a hoodoo sort of mental fragility when we play them.
Yeah, bogey team, definitely.
Yeah, but this is a different Arsenal side, and I think lo and behold, I think maybe even some Liverpool fans thought, you know what, yeah, Arsenal doing well, but you know what, we've got their number. But when the way the game played out, they probably thought, you know what, this is a bit of a different Arsenal side than what we faced before. And
interesting, because I've got quite a few Scouse mates. They were all worried. Which I've never, ever had with them before. They were all saying, "You're probably going to do us today." And you know what they're like, though. They're not like that. They're cocky, aren't they? You know, well, we'd be like that.
And that's what, that's what I'm saying with the Liverpool thing. For me, it's quite personal, if I'm being honest with you. But it's quite funny. Before I finish up, I saw on the BBC Sport predictions for the games for the weekend. And Chris Sutton actually went Arsenal to win 4-1. I said, what?
Yeah,
Chris
a lot of them did
Sutton?
that.
I said, wow. And I think a lot of, you're right, Amanda, I think with some sections of Liverpool fans, they were concerned coming into this game, despite how good their record is. Because like I said, this is a different Arsenal side. We're scoring a lot of goals. We're looking a lot more threatening, and there's a better fluidity in the final third with the likes of Erdegaard and Martinelli, Saka, and obviously we've got Jesus, who's fantastic in terms of pressing. So yeah, listen, that second half party was influential and was fantastic.
Chris,
can I just make a point on that?
Okay.
Sorry, can I just jump in on that? So this is really interesting, Albert, that you were just talking about, because the Liverpool of last season and the Arsenal of last season, obviously two different teams. But if you think about the troubles that we can now give to teams, like when we played Liverpool last season, Alex Lacazette is playing up front.
Yeah,
absolute no problems for Liverpool whatsoever. So that's one problem, that they're just thinking nice and easy. You've got Gabriel Martinelli and you've got Saka on either side who are causing them some problems. But when you've got nobody in the centre to worry about, then you're also having to say, do you know what? We'll just focus on these guys and away we go, because we can handle those two and Lacazette won't do anything. He'll drop into some pockets. We'll see nothing of him. But actually, it's other things. They weren't expecting, or they might have been expecting, but there's not many teams that are expecting the Granit Xhaka of this season. Everyone's still hung up in the Granit Xhaka of last season. So the Liverpool team who would have come up against Granit Xhaka last season are used to him playing in that left sort of, not a left eight. He's almost a defensive left-hand side, tucking into the left back position. You know, he's not occupying that space anymore. He's occupying the space in the final, in the opponent's half. And so all of a sudden, they're not thinking about they're thinking about the Granit Xhaka from last season, as most people are that don't watch Arsenal as regularly. And we've got a Granit Xhaka that is in form, but also he's causing more problems, and teams haven't sussed it out yet, I don't think.
Good shout. Yeah, great shout.
So, Chris, I just want to come to you. 3 penalty shouts and 1 was given. So, right in front of me was the Gabriel handball. I have to say straight away, I thought it wasn't. I didn't even see the handball. We don't get much of a chance in the game because that's it. If you don't see it, you don't get any replays. And then I always do the same thing. I've got a Scouse mate. I've got my dad. They're the two watching it. He wasn't here, the Scouse mate, this time, but if they're at home, my Scouse mate's not one of those that will pro Liverpool. He's just pro the game. And he said by the new rules, maybe, but it's not intentional. My dad thought it was straight away. My City mate thought it was straight away. So obviously, I've said to everybody, I'm just going to watch Match of the Day that night, and I'll say. Now, for me, I'm trying to work out if it was down the other end, how I would have felt. I think I would have gone, we don't get those penalties. Other teams get those penalties. We wouldn't get that because it's Arsenal. I think the new law is something to do with proximity. He was very close to the Liverpool player, Chris, wasn't he? So for you, a penalty or not?
No, for 2 reasons. Number one, it actually hits his chest, because if you see the replays, as Arsenal fans love to do, we are prolific as a community. So everyone has got the images of it, got the short videos of it, and you actually see it hits Gabriel's, brushes his chest and then his arm. So I think if it brushes someone's chest and then hits an arm, that's not a penalty. But secondly, we had this problem with handballs. Was it the beginning of last season, or was it the beginning of the season before, where there were a whole flurry of handballs given if it hits somebody's hand below kind of like the sleeve line? And the problem with that was people were suddenly thinking, hold on, these professional footballers are good enough that they'll just get in the box and flick a ball up to somebody. So flick a ball up to somebody's hands, because they're that clever enough to do it. So you can't just have, oh, it's handball because it's hit his hand. That's exactly what happened. If it's his handball, if it hits his hand, and the rules are, if it hits your hand, it's a penalty. But if those are the rules, we're seeing penalties every single week, and nobody wants that. The the third thing I'd say on that is we need to stop thinking about every single thing being a penalty inside of the box, because how is a random flick up like that when he's going away from goal, when there's no real danger of it turning into anything. What would have happened if it didn't hit Gabriel's hand? It would have flicked over and Ramsdale would have just collected me.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that that deserves such a... I don't even know what the XG is on penalties. It's something like 0.6 or 0.7 or something like that, whatever for the stats people will tell you. But you're telling me that that incident is worthy of Liverpool having a one-on-one shot with the goalkeeper when there was absolutely nothing going on? No. Hits his chest first, too close, and we can't have penalties every single week for that, because we had that a few years ago. It didn't work, and I'm not accepting that those sort of things should be given as penalties. And Liverpool, I'm sorry, can't have it. You're not having it, lads.
Well, it's interesting because Miss Molina, welcome to the show. It hit his chest first, then his arm. I didn't even see that. Bougie Man, welcome to the show. But on show slow replay, to me, it seemed it hit his chest. So they seem to be agreeing with you. I'm going to have to watch this again because Albert, I did not see it hit his chest. For me, his arm was there. The ball hits it. They're given, they're not given. You know, normally they're given against us. It went to VAR. They didn't take ages going over it. Dermot Gallagher seemed to think that the referee should have been called to the screen and he probably would have changed it. So on that...
He would say that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Dermot Gallagher, let's just get this on record, is a pleb. Just saying.
That's Chris's view. Other views are available. Albert, for you, was it a penalty or not?
That's the thing. When I saw it, I thought they're definitely going to give that. But if they obviously with VAR, they see all the camera angles. When I saw the angle that I saw today, it hit his chest first and went onto his arm. So that's why it wasn't given.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fair enough. I'll have to look at this again because I don't remember that bit. Okay, so then we get our penalty. Was that before the Jesus one? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? No, Jesus. So you've got Alisson clattering into Jesus, doesn't go for the ball and hits the player, gets the player. So why, Albert, was that not given as a penalty?
That's $1 million question. I have no idea. I'm not sure. I'll be honest. I'm not sure why it wasn't given, but I'm sure we'll talk about the contentious one that we actually did get given.
Yeah. Chris, you got anything to say on the one where it was clattered into?
Well, this is another one of those grey areas, isn't it? I mean, if that is outside of the box and two outfield players bump into each other, the referee says that's a penalty. But interestingly, no one seems to be talking about that in the media this morning. They're all happy to talk about the Gabriel handball. They're all happy to talk about Gabby Jesus and soft contact. It's like, there's contact, yes. Yeah. I get it, and I get that it is soft, but it doesn't win the ball. And so Michael Oliver's looked at it and said, you haven't won this. I'm talking about the penalty we got. You haven't won the ball, Thiago. So I believe that there's contact there. So I'm giving a penalty. You can't overrule that. So I kind of get why VAR didn't overrule it.
Can I just go back to that one? So Matthew D'Souza, thank you, Matt. Amanda, it's not a pen, it's just a collision. And then you have Carl Stark going, Alisson clattering Jesus should have been a pen. And again, and this is why VAR for penalties doesn't work, because it's all about opinion. Unless it's fact, they don't work. Because everyone, yeah, sure.
Just one thing, just on that, just to jump in on that point, a collision. So if a goalkeeper comes out like that with his fists and punches a player in the head, that's a collision. Would that be seen as a penalty? Because that's just a collision. He's just coming for the ball. Is that not the same logic?
I don't think he went for the ball. I think he clattered into him, and I think that should have been spoken about. Okay, let's go to the actual penalty that was given. I don't see it as soft. He's taken his foot and he's gone down. Now, what I want to get to, Albert, is how proud of all of us that Saka picks the ball up after everything he's been through. And remember, it's 2-2 at the time. We're not 4-0 up here. That is a massive, massive pressure on a boy who, with England and everything, what he went through. So frigging proud. We love him anyway. And he had a great game yesterday, but what did you think when he picked the ball up?
I mean, I wasn't nervous. He's actually. I don't think he. I think he's taking penalties now. Start from probably the end of last season, wasn't it? Now,
Yeah.
So he's our penalty taker. So he put it away brilliantly. To be honest, it's a fantastic penalty. And to be honest, capped off a brilliant performance. And he's actually played pretty well in the last 3 or 4 games. I know people had their concerns, his form, but listen, he's been bossing it domestically and internationally. He's been bossing it. So massive turning point, because at that point, Amanda, 2-2, 20-25 minutes to go. Game could go either way, but that's why it's such a massive win for a plethora of different reasons. One, because they're gone.
But I just want to talk about the penalty, and it's true what John McDermott says. Soldier that Saka is, that bravery. I said to Carl, no word of a lie, at 2-2, I said the next goal wins it. Whoever scores that next goal, they're going to win the game. I honestly, truly believe that. I couldn't watch the penalty, Albert. I had to turn my back. Carl had his head in his hands. I don't know what to do. Sometimes I watch, sometimes I don't. But I just thought, I'm not going to watch, because it meant everything. If he misses, we don't win the game. The momentum, it's like that sliding doors film, honestly, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. Just that split second of what could have been if he missed. But he didn't. And we're all so proud of him. And it's just fantastic. Absolute nerves of steel. Christopher.
Yeah. Do you know what? So
you're behind the goal, aren't you? Are you that
No,
side?
I'm by the corner flag. So I'm row 11, block 5, behind the corner flag on the North Bank side.
Yes.
So honestly, I wear a Fitbit. It tells me my heart rate. I was fat burning. My Fitbit told me I was fat burning when that penalty was doing it. My heart was beating so fast, 150 odd beats a minute. I was essentially losing weight through stress of worrying poor Saka. I don't know why though, because he's already dispatched a very good penalty against Chelsea last season. He then did it against Man United. He's then done it against Liverpool. Honestly, I'm kind of at the point where, the old phrase, 3 strikes and you're out. 3 strikes, he's in. 3 strikes and he is in, because get him on penalties from now on, because he is cool as a cucumber. I think, and I wonder whether or not that England experience has, he's basically taken that as motivation and learning from it. And that's become a drive for him.
Listen, I think losing to Tottenham last year, losing that 4th place spot, has done us the world of good. It is funny how things turn around. It was interesting. I worked with a guy, Spurs guy, typical Spurs fan. And he was like, oh, you never get penalties against you. And it was never a penalty. I'll just let him get on with it. And he goes, oh, I've got to buy my Champions League ticket. The competition you're not in. I said, oh, the competition you can't win. But we're in a competition we can win. And that is what it's all about. We can win the Europa League. You're not going to win the Champions League. So I feel that has taught the team how to win, and Saka's experience, exactly what you're saying at the World Cup, has given him that momentum as well. So it got better in the second half, Albert, the atmosphere. Absolutely. It wasn't dead. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was dead yesterday. It just wasn't the same as the Tottenham and what we've been experiencing. I didn't feel like that, Chris. Second half, I just want to go through a few players. Let's just wax lyrical about these players, okay? Let's just start at the top. I want to start with our pit bull of a striker, Jesus. I mean, the boy is everywhere. He's tenacious. I want you to say a word for him, Albert. What's your word for him?
Oh, God, a word. God, that's quite hard to tell you.
Tenacious. I mean, that sort of tenacity he's got, isn't he? He's in everywhere. He's so fast. He's so skillful. Chris, I'll let Albert think about a word.
Yeah, relentless.
Relentless.
He is a relentless footballer. He does not stop. Well, he does stop when he's elbowed in the face by a Liverpool left back who, for some reason, seemed to get away with stuff with reckless abandon. It made me actually laugh when I saw. It's funny how if you have a few words to say about Liverpool, how many Scousers suddenly appear, or Liverpool fans appear in your mentions. Because I had loads of them yesterday from people saying, behave, Michael Oliver, he did you a solid yesterday, blah blah blah. I'm like, Tsimikas literally 3 times in the first half made fouls in which there were no sort of recompense. One in which he's pushed Saka over. And then with that incident, I don't know about you guys, but when Gabby Jesus went down, I was like, holy shit, what's happened? Because he looked like he'd
right
been
in front of us.
out.
He didn't move.
Yeah.
I was so worried. But again, this is why I like my Scouse mate. He said straight away his player should have been sent off. I've not seen anyone else say that. He said to me that is a red card.
He meant
all
it
day long. Yeah, he said that to me.
Yeah, it didn't look great. It
didn't look great. But then my dad said accidental. This is what I mean. Everyone sees the game very differently, don't they? I was worried for Jesus, but come on, have you got a word for him, Albert? Have you thought of anything?
Well, I thought he's a nuisance for defenders, and he was, and it he gave him a tour time. Matip, Van Dijk, he didn't give him rest. Even one that even when he went through and is like a one-on-one with a goalkeeper and the ball bounced, he went in full steam. He didn't back down. Van Dijk, he was like the meat in the sandwich. But yeah, listen, there isn't a game he's been poor this season.
No, and I had a few around me say he was poor yesterday, and I didn't see it. I just didn't see it. I want people in the chat room to give me their words for Jesus, and I think Carl's one's brilliant. Menace, absolute menace against the opposing teams, isn't he? Just love him. Well, Martinelli was my man of the match. I didn't realise Sky had given him man of the match, but he's becoming exactly what we thought he could become, isn't he, Chris?
Yeah, you sound like you're about to burst into tears of joy.
No. I'm just feeling. I think as I get, no, I'm not crying. I just think as I get because you've worked all day, I didn't manage to to listen to as many podcasts as I like to listen to, and it's just I'm so excited. I am so excited. It feels like we've got our Arsenal back, and we've got an Arsenal back that's even better. But go on.
Yeah. I mean, Martinelli and Saka, a year older, a year more experienced, a year more prolific, in a team that is more high functioning because they've got a centre forward that they know if they press, they've got another guy who's going to press with them, not some waddler that's going to sit on the halfway line offering us very little. We've got Gabriel Jesus doing the business. I think this is the same with the Granit Xhaka question as well. We'll stick on the forward line first, but Granit Xhaka is playing amazingly because he's been released, but I think it's also because there are more quality players in this team. So all of them, it's like the rising tide lifts all boats. Like we've got players that were already quality that are now being supplemented with more quality. And as a result, they're looking even more quality. And Martinelli and Saka together, I think, are perfect examples of that.
I just want to bring this for me is the word. That's it. V Roge, whirlwind. Loving that, and unstoppable from Tracy. That's fantastic. A little bit like we could say unstoppable for Martinelli, couldn't we, Albert?
Oh, fabulous. What did we pay? £8 million for him? Bargain.
No,
we didn't pay anything.
No,
we didn't pay anything for Zachary.
I think it was 6 million.
8 million, 6 or 8.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, love it. I love Martinelli. He's fantastic. I think for me, this season with him in particular, I was just looking at in terms of what he's going to give us in goals return. The talent's there, the energy there, the spark is there. It's there. The ingredients are there. But he actually should be on more goals than he should have already. That's the biggest compliment I can pay him. And I saw a stat yesterday with him that 8 goal involvements in his last 7 Premier League games at the Emirates. That's quite an impressive stat, to be honest with you, from a statistical point of view. But yeah, listen, he's you know what it is, sort of with our front three, generally speaking, I'm just pleased to see a little bit more fluidity and interchange. And I don't think we really had that at Arsenal with a forward line, even when we had the Lacazettes and the Aubameyang here, in terms of chemistry and combination play. That wasn't really there. But with these 3 guys in particular, and Martinelli's been outstanding so far this season. He was excellent in the North London derby, particularly the second half. And yesterday was just a different class.
Martinelli in one word, gravitas from Robert Stevens. I mean, do you know what when we had like the 2004 Invincibles and we had these players, you didn't know who to rave about first. We had so much choice. This is how I'm feeling. And now we're going to go and talk about Saka. I mean, Chris. What a game he had yesterday.
Yeah, I saw a few people suggesting that it wasn't his best of games, and I mean, end product. The man is, if he's this season, if this is Bukayo Saka slowly warming up to the Premier League, then I can't wait till he's red hot, because he's already bagging goals, important goals too. You know, we didn't win the game at Old Trafford, but it was Saka that got us back on track, and we should have won that game really.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Saka, huge involvement in the first goal. You know, he's scored the second goal with a very, very good run, and you know, all throughout the game, he's just a nuisance, and we've got that on both flanks. We're no longer dominant on one side when we're attacking, and that is really important.
Absolutely. Just Saka. Right, next one, boys.
Sorry, Amanda, with Saka, sorry, Amanda, with Saka, sorry. I think what people got to realize, if you watched all the Arsenal games this season, even towards the back end of last season, you notice with teams, they're very quick to double up on him in particular. It's different when you've got a winger like a Kulusevski at Tottenham. Tottenham play a very different style. So, but with Saka, he's literally got 2 men on him all the time, and he's still producing. Still.
I know. Ødegaard. A bit mixed reviews about Ødegaard yesterday, Chris. What did you think? Apart from the assist, obviously.
Wow, I've got a soft spot for Martin Ødegaard. Yeah, he's an absolutely stunning footballer, and I love players with the kind of technical ability that he's got. He's my type of player. The vision for that first goal, brilliant. That's not easy.
No,
there are so many things going on at play there. Elite football happens at high pace. He's making decisions in split seconds. So you've got to make decisions in split seconds. He's splitting a defence that this defence has won leagues. This defence is expected to be the second. This Liverpool team, I know they're not this season, but they're expected to be up there challenging for the title. And Martin Ødegaard's picking the ball up, and he's having the vision to play that threaded pass through. It was so precise that Gabby Martinelli has just got to run onto it, and 50% of the work is done. Like when Ødegaard put that ball in, obviously I'm at the other end of the pitch, and I've seen that Martinelli make that diagonal run. As soon as he hits that, you almost know it's going in because of the precision of Martinelli, but because of that a fantastic ball by Ødegaard. And yes, there were parts of the game where he did tail off, but you can't, against teams like Liverpool, you are not going to have retention of the ball the whole time. You can't just expect someone like Martin Ødegaard to get on the ball and dominate everything. It's just not going to happen. In that first half, he struggled, but a lot of the team struggled. In that second half, the great thing about what we've got at the moment is that if one player is not absolutely at their zenith, at their peak, we've got enough other quality players that are stepping up. We've had weeks where Saka's done it, like yesterday. Martinelli's done it. There's been weeks where Gabriel Jesus has done it. Granit Xhaka has done it. We saw against Bodo Glimt, Fabio Vieira did it, or against Brentford, Fabio Vieira steps in. We've got so many options for other players who can influence games. So I prefer to not say people had a bad game. It's more who had the least best game.
Yeah. I agree. Albert, Ødegaard, for you, I thought it was a little bit quieter yesterday, but I'm very much like Chris with Ødegaard. I got a very big soft spot for him.
Yeah, Ødegaard's an interesting player to talk about. I think with him, and it is within our sections of our fan base. We make that very clear, by the way. It's not a lot of context with him, and Chris makes a good point. Like, this is Liverpool; they're a good side, man. Yeah. They're not gonna just let you have the ball and dictate. It's the same thing I mentioned with Saka. He's always got 2 men on him. It's difficult. You got to find the space, and you got to be intricate. And like you said, he got an fantastic assist for the goal. And listen, he does. I always say this, and I think it's important. He's very good off the ball. He does give Arsenal. He does have defensive qualities that I don't think he gets a lot of credit for. Yes, the only criticism I've always had with him is just please shoot more, because you get yourself in very, very good positions. You need to take a bit more responsibility If your teammates hammer you and have a go at you, so be it. But take the responsibility to take the shot, and that's all he needs to do. He gets into the right areas. He makes the good runs. He made some good runs yesterday, but he didn't get the ball. I noticed that definitely, particularly in the first half, and when he's in the 18-yard box, the 6-yard area, he was there. He was in a prominent position to benefit from a final pass that was going to be coming in or a cross coming in the right position. But yeah, I think with Ødegaard, listen, he's not going to boss it all the time. This is a very difficult league. He's adjusted to it now. He's been here, he's been in England a couple of years now. But yeah, I thought he did okay. I think with him, more so than any other Arsenal player, it will always be a talking point, Amanda.
Oh, always. It seems to be a bit divided, which is a bit strange, isn't it? It's a little bit like the next player I'm going to talk about. It seems everyone's in love with Xhaka. Everyone's in love with Xhaka. What a week he's had. All his Instagram posts and all his, is the love for Xhaka, and it's fantastic. And yes, Chris, I know I said I wouldn't give him a new contract, and you're going to bring it up every single time. But I used to defend him a lot. It's wonderful. And although we're not going to go into the incident with Gabriel and Henderson, Xhaka acts like a captain, plays like a captain. And I'm so pleased for him. I really am. And his lovely family. I saw some lovely pictures and videos today of his little girl looking over the box and, Daddy's doing so well. And it's just lovely. Everything is just lovely at the moment, isn't it? It is just great. So, Chris, Xhaka yesterday.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought he played very well.
He played very, very well. I would like to ask both of you a question, 2 separate questions, if that's all right, with regards to Granit Xhaka, because I feel like we have waxed lyrical enough about him this season, and we should continue to do so. He had another excellent game yesterday. Really, really pleased with his performance. But my question to you, Amanda, really, really quick one. Would you give him a new deal?
Yeah. How old is he, Chris? How old?
I think he's just turning 30. 30. He's about to turn 30.
Yeah, he'd get another year. He'd get another deal. Because there was always a good footballer there. He just messed up with the red and the yellow cards, didn't he? It was a nightmare. But he also was not, how can I put this, like played in the right position. But go on, Albert.
Yeah, listen, this someone mentioned the word redemption. It's true of him. I think if you want to take the whole thing about the people that maybe not fans of Granit Xhaka or the ones that were fans of him, whatever way you want to look at it, he's playing well. Arteta's probably had quite a simple chat with him and said, look, Granit, we're going to play you a little bit further up the pitch because we don't want to leave you a little bit defensively, he's not so great at that aspect, should I say. We don't want to put him in positions where he can be exposed. So you've got Thomas Partey there, you've got Sambi Lokonga there. Ødegaard can sit a little bit deeper if he has to, if you're going to play perhaps with Vieira in there as well. But no, I'll tell you what, if he'd have scored that volley yesterday in the second half, oh my God. I thought when he set out to hit the shot, I thought, if this goes in, I thought they're going to give him
goal of the season, mate.
They're going to give him a statue outside the stadium. But it's been a remarkable turnaround.
Absolutely.
I hear a lot of people say, for Switzerland, he plays in a more advanced role. I mean, that must be under the new manager, but I never saw it under Petkovic. But listen, he'll get more goals this season as well.
And he's getting, did you not notice he's getting better and better every game? Yeah. It's like he's thriving on this momentum, isn't he? He's driving games now. I mean, I watched one of his passes yesterday. A beautiful forward pass. How many times over the years does he just go back or sideways?
Yeah.
It is like that is alien to him now. Someone did a Xhaka pass yesterday. I can't remember who it was, if it was Partey or somebody went back, and I thought, we don't even see that with Xhaka anymore. It's just fabulous.
Amazing. Further up the pitch, in it's such a difference. That further 10 yards. Yeah, massive.
And he was gone. He even said that, didn't he? He said he was gone to Roma. He said, but Arteta said, give me 6 months. I mean, we need to talk about Arteta in a minute. We're going to run over time here, so we're going to stay with it if both of you have got a few more minutes, because we've got to. We'll go through it a bit more faster. Partey. I wasn't that impressed first half, if I'm honest. Although a lot, second half completely different. I love Partey. I've got not a bad word to say about him, but first half, I wasn't so sure. Albert, you're sort of nodding with me.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing because I think it demands, you know, it to me it's a simple thing, and it comes down to sometimes the opposition who you're playing against.
Yeah.
It's a step up in level. They're not, when people don't give you time, it's a little bit more difficult, even if you're as good a player as you are. And I think that was probably what the problem is, because I looked at it and thought, oh, Liverpool are going to go. They're going in for a midfield with the two, with Henderson and Thiago. We're definitely going to dominate them. But that wasn't the case in the first half of that, like a good 20, 25 minutes. And I think they probably struggled a bit. And where we sat a little bit deep, he couldn't really cause an effect on the game. But you saw that change in the second half completely. And he got more of a foothold in the game. And he did boss it, along with the likes of Xhaka in there and Ødegaard in there, who was a little bit better. But yeah, listen, football's a 90-minute game, isn't it? So he had 45 minutes to rectify it, and he certainly did in the second half.
Absolutely. Okay, who's the next one, Chris? Before you run off, who do you want to talk about?
I would like to talk about. We talked about Ben White. We talked about Tomiyasu a bit. I could talk about Saliba all day, actually, to be honest with you.
I mean,
that man's amazing.
Who else have we got? We've done Partey and Xhaka, haven't we? Ødegaard, we've done them. So let's just talk about the back five. Aaron Ramsdale.
Do you know what's interesting? Like, people in that first half, I was really, really worried. I had concerns. I thought Liverpool are, they're turning the screw a little bit. But number of saves that Aaron Ramsdale actually had to make. Like, one of them was from a William Saliba almost own goal.
Yeah.
He picked the ball out of the net for Nunez. I don't know if you guys can. I can't think of too many other chances Liverpool actually had.
He had the save in the first half, which was a good, comfortable save for him. I think it was from Nunez, was it, or Diaz? Yeah. I can't remember. But other than that, you're right. You make a good point. There wasn't really. He had loads to do. Except put the ball out the back of the net.
Oh, just hold on a second. Lynn Simpson's going to ask you a question. Both of you can answer this. Do you think having Tommy at left back had a slant on Partey's performance in the first half? Either of you, what do you think?
I would say in terms of probably from an attacking element, possibly, because he probably wouldn't overlap like a Zinchenko and most definitely a Kieran Tierney. So, yeah, when you've got runners on the outside of it would make it a little bit easier. But, you get the defensive solidity with a Tomiyasu. So maybe there's a point in that. That's my kind of thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think there's probably something in it, as you said, because Zinchenko and also Kieran Tierney this season, they're inverting into the midfield a little bit more. And so therefore the distances for pass range options for Thomas Partey are perhaps a little bit shorter. So he's always got that option. So Partey, if he knows he's got someone like Zinchenko with him, you've either got that as an option or he can drive the ball forward because he knows he's going to get someone tucking in. Tomiyasu doesn't really do that at left. Well, we say that. We've got the data point of 1, which was yesterday's game, but I didn't notice from where I was, but I'm happy to be corrected. It felt like Tomiyasu wasn't playing that inverted winger role. It felt like wing back role. It felt like Tomiyasu was there to do a number on Salah, to just keep him quiet.
Yeah, I think
Great question, Lynn. Great question.
Thank you, Lynn. Anyone got any questions? Get them in now because we're on the last leg. Saliba.
Go on, Chris. You go with Saliba. Go on, Chris.
He's just so brilliant. I think the big thing for me is in one-on-one duels, like with the ball on the ground, he's so good. He wins them, and he turns situations which feel like they could be slightly nerve-wracking into really proactive and positive situations for us. Because this is the other thing: if you've got a striker bearing down on Saliba, like again in the Tottenham game as well, there was an instance in our own box where it was Son and Kane, and it might have been one other, that they were trying to press Saliba, and he kind of just wriggled out of it and then moved the ball away. What happens there is he's drawing players towards him, and as soon as he then wriggles out of it, those players are out of action. So that's, in that instance, that was 3 players in which Saliba has just taken out of a particular move. And so it actually benefits our forward and attacking play by having someone like that. So we're going to get strikers. I mean, there's moments we're all going to have to get used to it where it's going to look like Saliba has lost the ball, or he's about to lose the ball, but actually he's in control of it 9 times out of 10. And as a result, it's creating good opportunities for us. He was a key component part of the first goal.
He was, but I also thought he was at fault slightly. I think for their second goal, was it?
Yeah.
When
the second goal.
Yeah, Firmino's goal.
It just slightly was out of position, but he's not perfect. Even Van Dijk used to give away goals. But I've got a question here, Chris, before you run.
Yep. One more.
And we'll just do this for Chris, and then he has to go. V Rogue, we are conceding a lot less chances, but we're still letting in goals. I think Liverpool just scored from 2 chances, same with United. Very few chances against us, but goals scored. Why is this? Thank you for your question.
It's a good question. People could put it down to its individual errors, which complacency, I guess, is something that Arteta will want to eradicate. But I do wonder if it's just the style that we've got. We're a little bit more forward thinking, forward looking, and so sometimes we're susceptible to mistakes and lapses of judgment. If I think back to some of the goals that we've conceded this season, things like the Aston Villa one, which was from a corner, just kind of switching off a little bit. There was the Leicester one where, again, Zinchenko just that Maddison scored. Zinchenko just switched off a little bit. This is a rambling way of saying I don't actually have a full picture of it in my mind as to why teams are scoring with few chances, but it doesn't feel like it's a systematic problem with us.
No.
I don't feel like it's going to cause us that much of an issue longer run. It's probably just instances that are happening that the team need to just focus a bit more on concentration. I don't really have a proper answer there, so not very useful probably. I'm sure Albert can be a bit more articulate. Right, I'm going to love you and leave you guys because my wife will tell me off if I don't come and eat my dinner.
Thank you for joining us tonight, Chris. Me and Albert will continue with everyone in the chat room. Thank you. Love you as ever. Fabulous. Everyone enjoy your dinner. And he's gone because he wanted his dinner that desperately. Right, so we're going to take a few more questions and we're going to just discuss a couple of other bits. Stefano Lorenzo, welcome to the show.
You see this question floating around today?
Yeah, next 5 league games: Leeds away, Saints away, Forest home, Chelsea and Wolves away. How many points do you think we'll get, young Albert?
Right, I went through this earlier and I studied it and I went over it again and I thought, let me come up with some points. So I've gone for a draw away to Leeds, beat Southampton, beat Forest, beat Wolves, and I think we'll get a point against Chelsea.
Okay, so I'm with you on that, but apart from Leeds, I think we'll beat Leeds. I think we'll beat the rest, and I think there could be a draw against Chelsea, which would be amazing if either of ours, works.
What's that? 11 out of 15, isn't it? I think that was that. Yeah, about that. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, that is 11. If people correct me if I'm wrong, it's 11 out of 15. I think.
I also want to ask everyone in the chat room. I've never thought we could win the league, especially with Erling Haaland playing the way he's playing. Albert, do you think we have a chance? Does anyone think in the league we've got a chance of winning it? Alp?
I'm not really sure, man, if I'm being brutally honest. I'll tell you what's interesting though. You know when Leicester won the league?
Yeah.
Obviously they was doing well. People were like, they can't sustain this. Then it went through the months of the season. They thought, they're still going to fall off the cliff a bit. Then it got to the new year. They thought, this could possibly happen. I'm hoping that the course of our season in the Premier League pans out like that, so we can revisit the question come the turn of the year. Then I can definitely give you an answer then, 100%. How are you feeling?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah,
no.
It's a gut feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Haaland, De Bruyne. It makes me Foden. It's different. It's different. But do I think we'll give them a run for their money? Absolutely, I do, because we are watching Arteta's vision come to fruition, and I have banged that drum since the day he got here that we had to give him time, and look what's happening. It's just amazing.
Amanda, the thing is, go on.
No,
Even
go
if it isn't a league title push, right? For example,
yeah,
it would be a shame. I know we're only 9 games in, so I'm trying to put some context onto it. If Arsenal don't finish the season with some silverware and the top three, and I think the momentum shift should be: can Arsenal achieve a top 3? 100%.
Do you know what I was thinking? You know, like you and I often pod after a game. With your post-game show. I'm glad I didn't yesterday. I'd have been all over the place. I sort of came home, couldn't wait for match of the day, calmed down, went to work, and you gather your thoughts. It's lovely to post after a game and chat with everyone, but I do feel you have time to think about it, don't you, Albert? You know, I was so emotional, so choked. I was so like all over the place because we've waited so long.
You make a good point, because even I spoke to one of my guys I collab who said he was emotional because you know what it is with me, Amanda. I'll be honest with, like I mentioned earlier in the stream about it's great when you beat your other rivals, but for me personally, some Liverpool fans wind me up, and that's been the case since the 2013-14 season when they thought they was going to stroll the league and the fans were doing parties like 5 weeks out before the end of the season, and just beating them, Amanda, for me personally means everything. That's why that game was so massive yesterday. We're playing well. People say we haven't played anyone, for example.
Here we go.
Richard Commissioner Keys. We can now celebrate a win.
We're allowed to. Woohoo!
So yeah, that's why it was so big for me yesterday. Seriously, man.
It's lovely to see Newman on this podcast. Hello, my lovely. Newman. Arsenal squad too small. If we get in Europa League. Amount of games is brutal. I get that, but we do have the only strength in depth. The only place I'm concerned, the only position is Jesus. That is my issue.
Yeah, that's still
The rest of it, I think we're okay. I just want to touch on something as well. The Aubameyang video came out, and I'm obviously thinking that was done at Barcelona. And he has a right to say what he wants and how he feels and stuff. And then he's come out with this sort of, he didn't even apologise today. He sort of said, I wish everyone well at Arsenal, as long as, you know, not when you play us on November the 5th or whatever day it is.
I did see that, yeah.
And I thought to myself, do you know what? I don't care. You didn't put a shift in your lot when you signed your contract. It didn't work. Move on. You've got Chelsea fans saying, it's really upset Arsenal fans. Arsenal fans shouldn't even be responding. I don't even care. He's never a legend. He's not been a legend, and he's not one of my legends at Arsenal, Albert.
Yeah, man, I don't get some of our fans, man. I mean,
no, nor do I.
I'll give you an example. So, I think they played last week in the Champions League, and Aubameyang scored, obviously, didn't he? And I've seen Arsenal fans tweeting like he's one of our players, and I just think to myself, like, what? You guys need to give your head a wobble. He's not our player anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, he was a servant of the club and he scored lots of goals, but don't have a short memory and forget his last part at Arsenal. It wasn't great. And even when you watched, Amanda, I watched the documentary, right, the All or Nothing thing, and that bit when Edu was sitting in the office with Richard Garlick, and the guys come into the room said, we just got reports, you know, Aubameyang's in Barcelona. And so Richard Garlick's like, where's he meant to be? And Edu's like, he's meant to be in training. And I just thought, look, even if you love Aubameyang, worship him. You can't, if you're watching that and thinking to yourself, you know what, it's still on Arteta. I can't help you, Amanda, if I'm being honest with you. I can't. I just think, look, he's not our player anymore. Just let some Arsenal fans, let it go. We're playing well. Yeah,
but
let it go.
Kangan Ree, thank you for joining us. On Oba, I think he showed his true colours. If you do not follow the rules of the club, I'm sorry, you ain't professional. Totally agree with you. Loved it.
Late for North London derby, man. I mean, come on, man. Like,
and Newman, look at me and Newman agreeing. Oba, he's unprofessional. So I'm over him. I don't wish him anything. I'm not interested. Another player that's left, whatever.
Yeah.
There's no player bigger than Arsenal.
Exactly.
I would like to say that what I'm loving as well is, we talk about this a lot, is us fans, the
Yeah.
ground. Anytime an opponent scores, I was watching straight away. Everyone was up clapping, getting behind the boys. The players are loving it. Arteta's loving it. And this is what we've wanted for so long, is this support. The toxicity has gone. I can't see it anywhere. And even if we lose, we're going to have to get over it. We're not going to win every game.
No.
We're not the Invincibles. But yeah, no, it's just fantastic. Listen, everyone, thanks for staying with us for an hour and 15 minutes. As you know, Chris had to leave. Albert, thank you so much. It has just been amazing. And can everyone press like if they're top of the league? Just saying. I had that planned at the beginning and it didn't work. As you all know, I'm not media trained. I'm just a fan that comes on StreamYard and loves chatting with all of you. It's been brilliant. We've got Bodo Thursday night. We've got Leeds away Sunday. I might do a show Friday night. Who knows? But thank you all for joining us. Please press like. Please leave your comments in the YouTube. Please tell your mates about us. We're a very happy little community here.
Good.
It is so lovely, isn't it, Alb? And it's just lovely to see you. And Tracy, thank you for staying up.
Tracy.
I love my Trace from Australia.
Yes,
Stefano, lovely to see you. Thank you all so much. You've all been brilliant. Absolutely. Right, let's hope we continue this run.
Yes.
But we're off to get a cup of tea, probably watch Match of the Day again, probably look at the table and go, Arsenal at the top. Mind the gap, everybody. Mind the gap. Always Arsenal.